Good morning, dear students. I'm Jean-Bernard Maïssa, a teacher of English at Lycée National Léomba. If you remember, last time we saw the text analysis methodology. Now, today, we are going to analyze a text. So I want you to take notes. But before, we are going to read the text. Text. An African reality. I was left orphan of father early in my life. I was nearly 40 years old when my father, Muhammad, died. My father was an engineer. He had 2 wives and 10 children in 2 houses. I, myself, was his first son. He owned 3 cars and always helped his relatives succeed in their life. I and all my brothers and sisters used to go to school by car, even if our school was near. He was a wealthy man, my father. It happened one moment that Father Muhammad was seriously ill and taken to the hospital. He was nearly 49. While my father was admitted in the hospital, all his relatives abandoned him in sufferance. And 2 weeks later, he passed away. After the funerals, my father's relatives decided to take all his properties and even the 2 houses. We became poor and I began to beg food in the streets. I gave up schools, so did my brothers. Finally, I realized that it was not good to rely on parents' property. Now, after reading the text, we are now going to analyze this text. Now, remember that the methodology of text analysis has 4 main parts, which are introduction, summary, text comprehension, and evaluation. So without wasting time, let's deal with the first part, which is presentation. So in the presentation, we must give the title, the author, the name of the author, the nature, the date of publication, the source, and the general idea. So the introduction of this text is this text entitled An African Reality is a story. It was written by Eblangando. It was taken from African Tales and published in 2012. It deals with the spoliation of Muhammad's widow and children. So after presenting this text, now we are going to continue with the next step, which is the summary. But in troisième, we focus on the text structure. So to structure a text is to divide this text according to its different main ideas. A text can have 1 idea, 2 ideas, at least 4 ideas. Now, still with our text entitled An African Reality, the structure is as follows. This text can be divided into 3 parts. The first part goes from line 1 to line 4 and is about becoming an orphan. The second part, from line 5 to line 13, concerns Muhammad's death. The third part, from line 14 down to the end of the text, deals with the spoliation of Muhammad's widow and children. Now, the next step. The next step is what you call text comprehension. So here, some questions are asked to ease the comprehension. We have a variety of questions. There can be WH questions, how questions, yes or no answers, so far and so on. Now, still with our text entitled An African Reality, for the comprehension, we have the first question. How old was the narrator when his father died? I repeat the question. How old was the narrator when his father died? Answer, he was 14 years old when his father died. The next question, what was his father's job? What was his father's job or occupation or profession? He was an engineer. So this is the answer for this question. He was an engineer. Question number 3, why did Muhammad died? Why did Muhammad die, sorry? He died because he was seriously ill. He died because he was seriously ill. Question number 4, Muhammad's parents did not take all his properties after his death. Is it true or false? I repeat the question. Muhammad's parents did not take all his properties after his death. Is it true or false? It is false. So this is the answer to this question. Now at home, you can practice. So after the text comprehension, we're going to continue with what we call personal opinion. A candidate should be able to express his opinion about the text. Once again, there are some questions. Example, we can say, what do you think about this text? Do you agree or disagree with the author? And what have you learned from this text? Now, still with our text entitled An African Reality, let's see the way we can express our personal opinion. So, the first question can be, do you like this story? This is the question. Do you like this story? I don't like this story. I think it is a sad story because Muhammad's widows and children were dispossessed of properties. As a result, they became poor. Okay, I repeat the answer. I don't like this story. I think it is a sad story because Muhammad's widows and children were dispossessed of properties. As a result, they became poor. Question number 2, do you agree with the author when he says Muhammad's parents took all his properties? I repeat the question. Do you agree with the author when he says Muhammad's parents took all his properties? Answer: I totally disagree with him because the widows and children were not protected. Their rights were violated. I repeat the answer: I totally disagree with him because the widows and children were not protected. Their rights were violated. And the last question here: what have you learned from that story? What have you learned from that story? Answer: I have learned from it that we should not rely on parents' heritage. I repeat, I have learned from it that we should not rely on parents' heritage. Good. So, as you can see, it is the end of our lesson. I hope you have understood. Now, I invite you to take one of your texts and practice what you have already seen. Okay? So, thank you for your attention. Goodbye. See you next time.
Nos infirmiers, nos infirmières, nos médecins et docteurs, chercheurs sont au pied de guerre. Jusqu'ici tu étais méconnu, puis un matin tu es apparu. Et depuis ta venue, on compte des milliers de disparus. Tel un mal qui se répand, bouleversant les continents, touchant les jaunes, les noirs, les blancs, les rouges. Tu es le diable ou son agent. Tu es la vedette des plateaux télé. L'actualité, tu t'es emparé. École et université fermées. Le monde est en danger, privé de notre liberté. Le monde est en danger.
Et toi, qui es-tu? Qui es-tu? À cause de toi, tout le monde panique.
Quand je pense à mon continent, je m'imagine ce qu'il attend. Les hôpitaux en Afrique sont absents. Tu te ris des marabouts, les fétiches des charlatans, les pasteurs et les imams, leurs appels sont des puissants. Tu menaces les plus grands, tu attaques les plus puissants et tu te moques éperdument. Les discours des présidents réchauffent le monde, climatique n'est plus une priorité. Terrorisme et pauvreté ne sont plus d'actualité. Les migrants, les migrants sont abandonnés. À cause de toi, la CAN et les Jeux Olympiques sont confinés.
Et toi, qui es-tu? Qui es-tu?
Covid-19.
À cause de toi, tout le monde panique. Et toi, qui es-tu? Qui es-tu? À cause de toi,
Manu Dibango.
tout le monde panique.
Pape Diouf, Orlus Mabélé, Patrick Demédian. Oh Africa, tes enfants n'ont pas compris que le monde est en crise d'une pandémie. Cette maladie n'est pas une option pour se protéger. Rester à la maison est une solution.
Engagé, chacun de nous est engagé. Le confinement peut nous aider.
Le confinement peut nous aider
À adopter des gestes barrières qui peuvent sauver. Les sorties deviennent limitées. Lave-toi les mains.
Toi qui vis du jour le jour des petits métiers, on pourrait se dire bonjour sans se toucher. Respectons les gestes barrières. Des chiffres en augmentation. La maladie prend chaque jour des proportions. En Europe comme aux États-Unis, les hôpitaux n'ont plus de lits. Les morts se comptent par milliers. L'Africain n'est pas immunisé. Le confinement devient urgent. Un geste intelligent. C'est l'affaire de tous. Hey.
Engagé, chacun de nous est engagé.
Engageons-nous mes amis.
Le confinement peut nous aider.
Le confinement peut nous aider. Yeah.
Adopter des gestes barrières qui peuvent sauver. Les sorties deviennent limitées. Lave-toi les mains.
Le Covid-19 n'épargne personne. No.
Lave-toi les mains.
Américains, Européens, Asiatiques, Africains.
Lave-toi les mains.
Africains, ne pensons pas que nous sommes immunisés.
Lave-toi les mains.
Il ne choisit pas la couleur de peau.
Lave-toi les mains.
Il tue les pauvres et n'épargne pas les riches.
Lave-toi les mains.
Avec du gel hydroalcoolique, du savon et de l'eau.
Lave-toi les mains.
Lave-toi les mains, lave-toi les mains. Si tu ne peux pas, mon ami, fais-le pour les autres.
Engagé,
Hey.
chacun de nous est engagé. Le confinement peut nous aider.
Le confinement peut nous aider.
Adopter
Les gestes,
des gestes barrières qui peuvent sauver.
hey.
Les sorties deviennent limitées. Lave-toi les mains.
Avant de faire, avant de manger, lave-toi les mains. Oh.
Lave-toi les mains.
Avant de toucher, avant de sortir, lave-toi les mains.
Lave-toi les mains.
En sortant, en rentrant, en dormant, en bougeant, lave-toi les mains.
Lave-toi les mains.
Eu égard au danger qui le guette, évitons d'être contaminés. Le double MA
Engagé,
reste à la maison
chacun de nous est engagé.
et respectons le geste barrière.
Le confinement peut nous aider à adopter
Et
des gestes barrières qui peuvent sauver.
on peut se saluer sans se
Les
toucher.
sorties deviennent limitées.
Et
Lave-toi les mains.
à bon entendeur,